Hello, my gorgeous, gorgeous lot of the Subconscious Expert podcast listeners. I have an incredible guest today. I think we are sisters from another mister, if I'm honest. And quite frankly, we've, in absolute knowing, showed up in the same outfit as always. As every single coaching call did end up being. I think we're twins, but I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to the podcast. Please introduce yourself. I've already said everything about you, but hello, and welcome.
Thank you so much. My name is Frida. I am from Stockholm, Sweden. So bear with my English, please, my Swinglish. And I am a business coach, just like you. And this is basically why when I found you, it was like, click, like, this is my lady. And, I love the Brits. I've always loved the British people and like the banter and the humor, the dry humor.
The sarcasm.
I'm just diving straight into it. But when I found you, it was like, yes, this is my lady.
Yeah, and I remember like we hadn't had any conversation at all, had we? Like really? And I literally remember where I was in the exact moment of my dog walk when I saw your message come through. I was going down the hill, I got my Starbucks in my hand, and I was like, oh, okay. And it was just straight in, let's go. You knew exactly what you wanted, you knew exactly what was going on, and the support you needed. So let's dive in with where you were when we started together, what was going on from like a mindset perspective, from a business perspective, and what was the real blockers for you at that time?
Yeah, so when I first found you, I quickly felt like, because I'm very emotional, like I take emotional decisions just like yours and my clients do. They're very heart-led, as am I. So I was the typical silent lurker who was like, and you were in Stockholm in the snow blizzard.
The coldest week I've ever experienced in my whole entire life.
And that was actually crazy, even for Swedes. Like that was like being in the Frost movie or something. Yeah. So very on brand for Sweden.
Yes.
But so I had been watching you like, oh my God, she's in my hometown, like as if you're like a big celebrity. And I was watching your stories. Yeah, I was the typical, dream client who is just like silently watching and what's it called? Binging all the podcast episodes.
Yeah.
The blueprint of this type of client. And then, and then there was one day where we had the stories with like, pick one of your packages that you want, 3 months, 6 months. And I was like, okay, now it's the time. It's time.
Yeah.
So then I tried to press it and it didn't work. And this is also interesting to be on the client side and understand like how you're buying, like, because then it didn't work to press, the voting thingy.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was nearly like, oh, well, like backing out, like, and that's so interesting. And so important to understand like how our clients are acting. So then I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, I know I want to work with her. Why would I back out just because this little, thing, didn't work? Like, that's insane. So then I just wrote you on DM, like, because I knew I had to do it, like, do it now. So then I was like, hey, it didn't work, but I want to work with you and let's do it. And I paid in full and you just sent me the Stripe link and I was like, let's go.
Done.
Yes. Yeah. So where I was at then was I was very stressed. And I knew that I had to break this cycle. Like, if I want to build a long-term, sustainable, scalable business with a calm, healthy nervous system, I have to change it from the ground. Like, or else I'm going to have the fear, I'm going to have the blockages, and the success is going to frighten me,
Yes.
And I knew this, like, it was, even though I always tried to fight it and do all the things anyway, I just knew, like, come on, Frida, this is why you left your old career. You had a burnout. Now you're doing it again. And I was really like, I had I had the six figures. I had dream clients, but also some clients where I felt like they kind of gave me a stomach ache, like, ooh, there's something here that I need to explore. Like, why do I feel kind of scared when I go into Voxer? Like, there were some signals there.
Yes.
So I just knew, like, top of mind, like, I gotta fix this.
Yeah.
And you were definitely the woman to do it, because I had been working with, like you always say, like, I've done the messaging, and the blah, blah, blah structure, whatever. The strategy. So then I knew, like, oh my God, let's dive deep into my subconscious, because I was also so curious about this subject, partly because I have been studying psychology at university, and I love these topics, and I think we all do. Like, it's
especially very interesting.
Yeah, like the female entrepreneurs, we're so heart-led, and we run like a lifestyle business. Like, everything is so intertwined. So I think it's such a big part of it, isn't it? Like,
I agree.
Life, business,
the domino effect.
Exactly. So I was very curious to see what would pop up, like, in a positive, curious, fun way, but also a little bit scared, of course. But then I knew kind of that because I've always had these very vivid dreams and very vivid, like, life-changing meditations that are like crazy. Like, I end up in this like movie, and then I come up and I'm like, what the hell was that? Like, what's going on? Yeah, who am I, and what's down there? Let's open the box and see what's going on down there. So then I was like, okay, I feel like Rebecca is like, she holds space, like, she feels very safe, but also fun, because I wanted to have fun. Like, I've been with these serious coaches, and everything is business and like hard and very male, and like, the bro style. So I was like, I just want to have fun with her. Like, I just want to hang out with her.
I just want to be her friend.
Yeah, exactly. Stalker alert. No, but I think it's important not to underestimate the strength of just being like a funny, happy person to attract the right clients.
Yeah. And I think especially when you do the work that we do inside the container, it can feel very heavy and uncomfortable and big, really big. And we had some very, very big moments, didn't we? Which I know we'll go on to talk about. But I think when you're in that position where you know that you're taking yourself into that, you do need that fun. You do. And we laughed and laughed and laughed, didn't we? Like, the whole way through. And I think that kind of made it easier for you to take the work that we'd done that felt big and then solidify it even deeper, really, didn't it, with that relationship?
Yeah, and I think that was part of feeling safe to go down into the basement.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we look at some of the beliefs that we shifted, and I think like one of the big things was really regulating your nervous system. And I remember one very specific session where we found your core, and that became the thing that we kind of referenced the whole way through, didn't we, to like bring you back to that. How did you start to feel once we'd started to dive into said basement? How did it feel?
Good question. I knew, I've always been very intuitive.
Yeah.
And you were always like, when I wrote to you in Voxer, like, I'm following my intuition and it turned out to be right. And you were like, yes, we already know this. Like, come on.
I don't know how many times I need to tell you.
As if I was surprised. So I think that was a big part of just like finally accepting that I'm a very intuitive person, and every time I dare to follow my heart and my gut feeling, it turns out to be the perfect choice, just like picking you or saying no to a client that gave me that kind of something is off and so on. And then just finding this core and daily practicing those words, just like trust, health, like divinity, like stepping into my like goddess, faith, like everything will always work out for me, just feeling that safety and logging into that core like every morning and doing the goddamn job, because it doesn't change. Even though we find these breakthrough answers in a session, you obviously have to work on it so much. And I think it was my biggest change was the session when you and I basically found like a generational trauma, right? Which was like, I was crying my eyeballs out.
Goosebumps from that one.
Yeah, and I'm always almost starting to cry now because that was insane. Like that experience was life-changing for me. So I think that for me was the biggest block where I had and also, sorry, that was so freaky, right? Because I had like a sign in the start and then it turned out to be connected
and it made
to
a
the
lot of
story.
sense, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like I could see a symbol of the diamond and it was spinning, in the air, like when you do the meditation. And then at the end of this story that just came to me, turned out it was about my grandmother. And we were always playing cards. And then I saw the diamond.
In the cards.
That was like, both you and me were like, oh my God, what's going on?
The synchronicity of that was absolutely insane, wasn't it?
Yes.
Insane.
And the story of this experience, just so the listeners understand, it was like me inheriting the stress from my grandmother and my father, and just always being in a hurry. And when you asked me, like, what is the message? It just came to me and I said, there's always something more I can do, or I can always do something more, or something like that. And that was so sad, like it was so sad for me to understand how much I have been pushing myself
and
like,
taking that on,
whipping myself. Like you can always do more.
Yeah.
So the goal was to come back to myself. And, as a kid, I could sit in the garden with like a leaf or whatever and just be. There was no stress. There was nothing like, oh, I should go do this, or I have to fix something, or I should be productive, or, as a child, you were just like totally grounded and calm and safe. And so my goal after that session was like, I'm going back to my, childhood Frida, because she was so cool and she was so calm and she was so safe. And that's my goal, to be like also as a mother of 2 children, that's my responsibility to be a safe, calm woman for them. And now I just stepped out of a 4-week-long vacation and I haven't basically opened my social media. And yesterday I was in our pool and I was just lying on the edge, just looking at the garden. And then I was like, oh my God, I am here.
I'm living it.
Yes.
Because I think when you came to me, and I remember this being quite a significant message that kind of went through the pre-session questionnaire that I get everyone to fill out before we start together, was the fact that you were kind of over launching. You were constantly putting things out. It was this constant like, and what's next, and I've got to get something else out, and oh my God, I've got to do this, and I haven't done this. Like, it was very much in that, wasn't it? And I think that was almost causing you to be like, well, if that's how I've got to do it, like, how the hell am I ever going to sustain that? And I know so many people come to me with that, with like the I've got to work harder and I've got to do more and I've got to put more out and it's got to be more. And I think the moment that we kind of, from what you just spoke about with going back to the generations and seeing where you took it on from, it made you realize that, and this is what then went on to happen, which we'll talk about from like a external point of view, is that the moment we pulled everything back, took it all to like a simpler business model, a simpler structure, way of doing things, actually what you then attracted was incredible.
Yeah, first it took a really long time because my launching nerve was like, do something, you have to do something more. But then I had you in Voxer, so I could always be like, Beck,
I'm trying to launch something again.
Yeah, exactly. I'm about to launch something, whatever. I just have to be on the hunt, So I had to always come back and come back and come back and be like, you're safe. And just kind of lifting my perspective for the long term and being like, come on, Frida, this is what you wanted. Like you want to change this because you know it's unsustainable. And if I'm, because I'm working with women who want to scale without hustle. So for me, it was like, you have to walk the talk because I'm always it's so important for me to be genuine and authentic. And the online space is full of crap. So for me, this is my biggest calling, to be like honest and genuine. So if I'm going to sell this, I have to do the work myself. So the whole spring was just like a strengthening season for me, where I was like, maybe I don't get the same numbers in because I haven't, but I have changed the whole business.
Yes.
And I have hosted a retreat. I have changed my whole membership, and I increased the price with 1,000%.
I mean, it was insane.
And that was the first thing we did, because I told you, I already know what I need to do. This is what's going to happen. And I just needed someone who was like, yeah, you do.
Let's go.
Do it. Because the membership was super low ticket and there was so much value in there. So I knew I had to change this to build a long-term, scalable, sustainable business for me that was like the base of my business.
Yes, and I think there's so many times that I go through that with a lot of different clients, where you have to trust in the pulling back. Like you can like I say to clients who are where you were at that point, you could carry on doing launches every 3 weeks and it works and you could make some money from it, but actually how long would you be making that money for in the long term? And actually taking that it wasn't even really 3 months, it was a month and a bit really, where we really pulled back and you really went kind of into the business, like really in it rather than on it. And I think having that trust in yourself and having me there to be like, no, this is what we're doing. Like, this is, remember where we're going, come back. And going back to that core that we just spoke about, I think that really enabled you to really start to see how the business could run. And then I think one random day we spoke about this freebie and you were like, oh no, this freebie is so too good to be a freebie. Let me put this together. Let me charge for it. And then next week you were like, so Beck, I've sold however many spots of this
courses.
But I think having that pullback, almost like the what's it called, the spring thing that you pull back,
like a catapult or
having the catapult. You have to pull back, and the pullback does feel a little bit scary because it's not giving you the external validation, but the moment that you spring into action, you're like, wow, now I can have the whole of July off, which you pretty much have, and be present and know that the business is there and it's set up and it's ready. And I think that was just so powerful for me to see as your coach, for you to allow yourself to do that.
Yes. And in the beginning, we had a long to-do list, because now we have to change the whole platform. I have to get contracts in place. I have to prepare the retreat, whatever. And I have to catch up with myself in the structure and batching content and so on. So in the beginning, I worked my little butt off, but I was writing to you this is not hustle. This is just
this is intentional
investment. This is investment in myself for my future self. And it really was because I did catch up with myself. And then my goal was to have space, feeling the space that I can. You remember the goal? I can. if I want to, I can
Go
go
to the
into
museum.
Stockholm to the Modern Museum and just take a day.
Yeah.
And I can do that now.
Yes.
And that's amazing. And just that space that I have created and expanded, it has, this is so cool because it has given me so many new opportunities, and there are like people showing up in my life. Like I'm attracting so much amazing things. Yeah. And it's like I'm in this wealth state.
Yeah.
And I'm like in love with my life. And I'm gonna, yeah, it's so clear that this is the path also into the autumn, because now I can see where it's fear driven and when it's like not, like this is what I really want to do. Like if I do launch a program, it's because I really want to, not because I feel like I have to and I'm on the launch hunt. It's not driven by fear. And it was kind of showing its ugly face like a few days ago, like you should do a program now because it's, August, September is the best season of the year and everyone else are launching programs and blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, because you have helped me with the part work, I could see the fear and the part and be like, hello, old friend. Welcome. Let's have a chat. And then I realized like, oh my God, no, I don't, because I have put all my best programs into my membership. So any customer can get my membership for what's it called, like £100 instead of like £4,000. They get everything in there, and that is my USP. So then I kind of stopped myself and realized like, oh my God, this is the best strategy ever, because I'm going to grow my membership. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like having that moment, and that was my next question, was the tools that we used and which has been your favorite and which ones have you carried on using. But I think like we did a lot of parts work during our time together, but on our last session we really went ham on the parts and like understanding them and like you being able to speak to them and really nurturing them. And I think it's that you're so much in that responding energy now in your business, which before we started together, everything was pure reaction to what was going on, what you thought you should be doing, maybe what other people were doing. And I think like that just allowed you, and like you said, like the attraction and everything, it is the space, like space just kept coming up again and again and again, didn't it, for you? And when we were working on a lot of different things, it was like the space. So for you to now be in like full fruition receiving mode is like so amazing to hear. Is it the parts work that you've took on and like kind of has really helped you since we've stopped working together?
I think so. And also the parts work is, I'm very visual, as you know, so now I can see it, I know what it is. Like before it was just a random feeling and I didn't know why it popped up. Now I can see those
little
like
parts.
characters. And we've had some funny parts show up. Like
we've had them drawn on your wall for a while, didn't we?
And the Harry Potter characters showing up. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on in my brain?
So many clients are like, is this normal? I'm like, very normal.
And it's so hard to explain, but it's so funny when you're like, oh, so my stress part is like neurotic professor in Harry Potter. Okay. But that's kind of funny as well. Like then I can see her and I'm like, oh, hello,
here you are.
Have a little internal talk with her. But I think it's also because I had the guts to take this season and just like strengthen the business without being on this hunt. And I think then I can feel safe that long term it's going to be kind of on and off, and that's okay, like because health is wealth, and I only have one body, I only have one brain, I have one life, and I want to spend it with my family and take care of myself. So both the part work and the kind of strengthening the business to be able to lift the perspective and look at the marathon and not the sprint. Yeah.
Yes, which I think is so easy, isn't it, in the entrepreneur space, because everything's so money driven, and how big is your next month and how many money, like it's all very like, and to the next and to the next and to the next. And it's very easy to get sucked into that. And I know we both have the same views on that and what that does for people. And I think it takes strength to, and I've always been this way, and I know you are too, but it takes strength to go, I'm not doing it that way, nor do I don't want to be working 15 hours a day. I don't want to constantly be doing this and constantly be doing that and constantly launching this. And I know I really had that realization being pregnant, because I was like, I can't. I physically can't. So I think it was like so powerful for you to see and really come back to actually who you wanted to be in the industry anyway as well, which I think was amazing. And now you can see that it doesn't mean anything, and you don't put a pressure on yourself. And it's just been amazing to see the shift. It really, really has. And I'm so grateful that I was there throughout it all, if I'm honest.
Same.
If you had to, oh, go on. Sorry.
No, I'm just so grateful as well that I followed the gut as well again, and it turned out exactly like I knew it would, Yeah. And now we're best friends forever.
Yes, exactly. And now we're trying to sort out when we see each other.
Actually worked.
If you had to sum up the experience in one word or one sentence, I'll let you have a sentence if you need it. What would it be?
For me, it would be just life-changing. And that's not a small word, but it's so true. It's because of the stress part. Like, I've always been driven by stress my whole career. So just being able to like pluck it out of my body and just like seeing that part and how fear-driven it is and how much hustle I have accepted. And, we had that session where I was like, oh my God, this was planted in me when I worked in fashion. I was like 19 years old and I was so damn stressed, and it stayed there forever. And my mom has done exactly the same journey, and she's very ill now due to the stress and the burnout. So, and then I go and do the same thing. So for me, it's definitely life-changing. And I'm not, because after my burnout, after my career, I promised myself, like, I'm never again exchange my health for, or how do you say, sacrifice my health for anyone else ever again. But then I went and did it for myself, like for my own business.
Your own business, yeah.
And thought that was logical or okay, but that's not okay either. So now I have really removed it. Of course, I'm going to be stressed in my life, but now I can see it with a distance, and that is just amazing. I'm so grateful.
I love you. I love working with you. I love everything about you. But it's just been so powerful to see you trust yourself enough to let that go as well. I think because like we said, it was such a big part of you and part of your identity that you'd held for that long, that like that moment. And I do remember that call so clearly, like that moment that you were like, oh my God, like it all makes sense. Like it just clicked into place, didn't it? And from then you've had the trust to follow that, and to have you lying in your pool and being like, it's happened, I'm here, I'm chilling, like this is it now. I get to grow my business in the way that I want to. That's just really powerful.
Yeah, and showing my clients that I'm doing the work and I've made it happen. Like I am in Greece and I'm just like fully enjoying life, and I'm present with my children. Like the connection we have built this summer is, I didn't think I could love them more, but now it's like, holy shit, like we're all just hanging out, we're having so much fun. Like it's so damn important, and I wouldn't give it up for anything. So,
amazing. Wow. Thank you for
British what did I call you? My
Yoda.
British business Yoda. You're like, Just sitting, just knowing that you exist. Remember when I told you that? I was like, I don't need to check in with you in Voxer every day. Just knowing that you exist over on the other side of the puddle, like, makes me, like, it gives me so much accountability, and I'm doing the work because I know Beck is going to ask me how it went. Yeah. So I was just
always watching.
Mega productive, just knowing that you were there.
I think I did try and do the accent once of Yoda.
Oh, yeah. You were very bad at it.
Very bad. But no, I loved being your business Yoda. I will carry on. I still watch all my clients very deeply anyway. But let's move on to you and what you do. I know we've already had like a bit of insight into some of the thoughts and feelings and what you're here for, but tell us more about you and what you do and what you stand for.
Yes. So I'm a business coach and I'm based in Sweden, as I said, but I do work internationally as well. So if you want to contact me one-on-one, that's totally fine. But the membership is in Swedish. So far, we'll see what happens.
Oh, I like it.
So I help women, female entrepreneurs who want to scale without the hustle. So this is what I said. It's so important to live the brand and show that it's possible, because I know how many freedom-seeking females who are leaving a stressful, like, corporate job. They've given their whole soul to a company and they get nothing in return. And they are longing and craving this everyday life that, where they feel that they can be themselves, that they feel this genuine spark, like, every day. That you and I, like, we are romanticizing our life, like, we are living the dream, and we're taking responsibility to make this happen, like designing our life. And I want this for every woman. But what tends to happen is just like my journey that we talked about now. They start their own business and then they're stuck in the hustle. And they're putting so much of their self-worth into the results, the measurable results. And they forget how much they've done. So I really love to work with these, like, high-achieving, heart-led, powerful women. But it's my job to kind of remind them who they are, because they put on so many layers from society and the patriarchy. Like, if you're a powerful woman or a girl growing up, you will be punished. So they so they have toned down their light, and because when they were shining too bright, they got punished for it. So I have to. We work a lot with the inner identity work, finding that spark again and finding this, like, wild side, and daring to, like, let it out again, because they're always like, oh my God, I forgot, like, when I was a little girl, I loved to, run fast or climb trees, or I was always the leader in the group. And then they have like, hid these skills, and we're picking them back before we start to work on the outside. So we always start with the inner work, finding that core, finding the, like, genuine interest where they really want to serve their clients. Because there are so many people in the business online space who copy someone else, and they try to do it like someone else, or they think they should do it like someone else, like American maybe woman or whatever, and then it doesn't feel right. Like, something is off, and their customers can hear that in their content, because it's not true. So this is my purpose more than ever now that, like, AI is coming to really make this human part of us bloom. They have to, how do you say in English? Like, I don't know how to say. They have to own it. Like, they truly have to own what their message is. And when we find that, like, really find that, then their content is like, wow.
Powerful.
Like, and then they take this position on the market, like this is my place to put down my flag, and everything else kind of domino effects, like whoa, I found my path, I found my vision, I found my mojo, like their tone of voice online, like everything falls into place. So it's so important to do that groundwork before we start with the website and the messaging and the concrete stuff, like the real world. But then we do work a lot with messaging, sales psychology, positioning, branding, like all the bits. And I think that is kind of my USP, that we put the inner work together with the actual like tools and knowledge that I have from my career, because I'm not just a random 23-year-old baby coach who used to be a nurse and then say that I'm a business coach. I worked with product development, assortment, like sales, like I know how to get people to open their wallets. And I worked with that for 14 years. I was like in the build-up of H&M Home. I've been like on the some of the biggest orders and products in H&M. So, I have the credits, and it's so important for me to make the online space more true and genuine in the expertise.
I think definitely with that as well, because there's so many, I think these like high achiever, like go-getter, like you said, who have we are knocked down a lot, told to get off the pedestal and stop talking about yourself. That was what I was always told when I was younger, always. And then you get into here and you're like, no wonder people don't want to speak their opinion or allow themselves to shine, because that's where it's coming from. And I think that's so important to like match the two together, where you open that for them and allow them to see that, and then kind of pair with what that looks like, and they're very authentic for them. Because like we said earlier, it's so easy to get lost in the entrepreneur space and go, okay, well, that's working for her, so that means that it's going to work for me, and therefore that's what I must do. And that's why we get loads of carbon copies and everyone thinks it's an MLM, whereas if each of us just stood as we do in our own power, and, I have so many people who go, Beck, I have no clue how much you're making. You never really told me, you never show screenshots, but that it doesn't, like, that's what attracted me to you. And I think like the more you stand in that and stand in that truth, the more successful in the long term you'll be, I think. I know quick success can come from talking about money and how much you're making, and that's okay. But it is that long-term success that we want, isn't it? More than anything.
Exactly. And just bringing back the credibility to this space, because there are, like I said, a lot of ugly fish out there. And that's ruining our reputation as well. So it's kind of my calling this year to like pump in the value and really showing people that they can trust my expertise.
And show that. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I've loved interviewing you and nibbling your ear off of all the questions. But where can people find you? Where do they need to go?
They need to go to Instagram, first of all, where my name is frida.businesscoach.
Perfect.
And then they can go into www.femalewealthlab.com.
Beautiful.
So that's quite an easy English URL, which I'm happy about. And when you went in there, the Google translated it for you. So
it did. I clicked
have
on
some English listeners, probably. You can go in there and it will work out anyway.
She sent me a sales page to have a look at. She's like, I know you can't understand any of it, but let me know the energy and the vibe. And then when I got on there, it was like translate. I was like, I can check it. It's too good. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. I've absolutely loved it. I've loved supporting you, and I know this is not the end of both our friendship and where we go next and what that looks like. And I cannot wait to be sipping wine with you. Some foreign country somewhere. Post-pregnancy.
For sure. I'm up for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you all next week.